Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. I could not do the episode last Friday, so we are doing this after a break of 2 weeks. And I'm really excited to have today's guest. She is someone whose work I have followed for a very long time, and I had previously asked her to be a guest, but it could not happen at the time. And the stars aligned probably to make this happen at the right time. And I'm very excited to talk to the guest who's Suchita Agarwal. She is part of the Blog Chatter A team and she's a fiction blogger and she has also contributed to anthologies. She also has her own 2 books on KDP and I love both of them. So let's see if she's here and I will invite her. We can begin the episode. Hi, Sukana. Hi, Megha. Thank you for joining. Okay, I'm just adding her, inviting her. Okay. It's an Instagram glitch. We have to do it a couple of times before the guest is able to join. Do stay connected. Let me send an invitation again. Suchita, I send you a fresh invitation. See if it came through. Hey. Hi, Suchita.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank
So
you so much.
after a wait of 3 long years, I have you on my show. Thank you for coming, first of all. And
You're welcome.
3 years ago, when I invited you, I think I had done just about 30 to 35 episodes of the show. And now
Okay.
we are 100 episodes plus. So I'm very happy.
Wow.
I have grown, you have grown, our relationship has grown. So
Yes.
I'm happy it's happening at that time.
Yes. I read your caption, and in that you had mentioned how, we sort of know each other better, and now I'm a part of your blog hop also.
Yeah.
So it just feels like, this feels like a more, like just a conversation rather than, oh, we are going to talk about fiction writing.
Yes. And more of a personal touch also because we know so much about each other
Yes.
through our podcast now.
Yes. Just goes to show, how much online interactions can really affect your relationship with
Yes,
someone. So that's, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So very happy. And before we begin, just introduce yourself to the audience briefly, please.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Suchita Agarwal. I am a marketing and communications professional and I work with Blog Chatter. I've been working with them for now 7 years, I think. I always forget how many years it has been. I think it'll be 7 in December. And I also write on my blog called talesofsuchita.com. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much, Manali, for asking me again. And I was very glad that I was able to accept this time. And, because I also have your book with me.
Yay.
So it's great that we got to meet also in August and now to do this live. It's I'm really looking forward to the conversation because we have some very interesting questions. So we
Yes.
asked each other questions. So I'm really looking forward to
Yes.
your answers also.
Yes. So to everyone with us, please stay connected. It's going to be a lot of interesting Q&A.
Yes.
So yes, I have already mentioned it in my caption, but I want to reiterate on it that I first came to know about your content when I read your book, 26 Letters of Love. It was your poetry book. I read
Yes.
that and I immediately fell in love with the content. And then over the course of the last 3 years, during that time, I read your content regularly and more and more. And the more I read, the more I fell in love with it. Especially your fiction writing on the blog. I have enjoyed every story. You know that. You know how
Yes.
much I gush in the comments also. So
Yes. Thank
I
you so much.
love the fiction that you do. I love the poetry that you do. And I'm just really excited. And to let the audience know why I am a fan of your writing, I'm going to read out from one of my favorite stories from your blog. So this one is titled Will You Go on a Date with Me? I think you wrote this in June as part of our own blog hop, out and about. So
Yes.
this is an LGBTQ plus story, and I'm going to read out from the middle section. Let's keep the audience a little bit in intrigue and not read from the beginning. So this is the middle part of the story, and it goes. Vian had sighed 5 times in the past 25 minutes, and Kabir didn't know what to do. Should he ask what was up? Would he get a response? Should he ignore his son? Was this about Yash? Maybe something had happened in school. Maybe he should just ask instead of overthinking. But would Vian think he was encroaching his space? Gods, why was raising a teenager so hard? When he heard the sixth and seventh sigh, he couldn't take it anymore. He kept the potatoes he was peeling away in a bowl. Their cook was on a vacation and he had promised Vian he would make aloo tikki for dinner. Is everything okay? He heard Vian huffing and braced himself for an onslaught of a tantrum. What he got was unexpected. Finally, I have been trying to get your attention since forever. Vian went to the sink to wash his hands, took the peeled potatoes, and started to mash them. It was something he loved doing. I broke up with Yash. Kabir swallowed a whole host of responses before saying, "What happened? I thought he was your best friend." He handed Vian the masalas to be added to the potatoes. The peas were on the gas, pre-cooked, waiting to be added to the aloo mix. Vian made a dismissive gesture, flicking Alu onto the platform. He went back to mashing. He's still my best friend. But dating added nothing to our relationships, you know? Just more pressure. Gods, we are never dating anymore, ever again. We have decided we'll buy a house together and just stay as friends. Kabir chuckled. Sounds like a solid plan. I mean, who needs sex when you have a best friend, right? His face turned red. Okay, mister, you are a child and you are never, ever, ever to speak of sex again. Do you hear me? And then he goes on to reveal a lot of other things, and the story ends on a very, very positive note, unexpected and positive note. So you should go check it out. The full story is available on talesofsuchita.com, and the story is titled "Will You Go on a Date with Me?" I have to mention this because it's very important to the conversation that this was also a winning entry for the blog hop that it was a part of.
Thank you.
Yes. So wonderful. And before I gush anymore, I want to move on to the questions now. So my first
Sure.
question to you is, what, according to you, are the elements that make a story? And from then on, how does one go about adding on to the elements like the characterization, the setting, and everything else? What, according to you, is that?
So, I have always thought that a story should begin in the middle, and there may be a lot of backstory, interesting backstory, but I still feel it should begin in the middle, then meander a little bit
Hmm.
before it ends and then begins again. Because I feel that the soul of the story, the heart of the story happens in the meandering that you do as a writer, as a reader. It's very, it's very exciting to follow your plot, to follow that straight and narrow path. But sometimes, when you're on your path, you will see a pebble, you will see a lake, and you will say, okay, let me just go see what is happening at the lake. And then you describe that. And it adds a lot of flavor, it adds a lot of masala to your writing. And so I feel it's the meandering that is the most important when it comes to a story. Talking of elements, personally, I always like stories that balance out character and plot. You know, when we talk of genres, to give you an example, thrillers are by default a little, plot heavy. I know it's a generalization, but they are a little plot heavy. Then you have genres like literary fiction, which are more character driven, less on the plot. And then there are two of my favorite genres, which is romance and fantasy sci-fi, which have a good mix of both, where the character is as important as your plot. So I think that's one thing that, as writers, we should all remember that there is a balance between characterization and plot. And I also feel that something that always intrigues me about stories is the depth of a story, is the landscape of a story, because how do you manage your micro elements and your macro elements? And I was thinking how I could explain this better, and I thought of the movie Dune, which just came out by Denis Villeneuve, the part one and the part two. So there is the politics of it. There
Hmm.
is, there are interplanetary discord that is happening. There is there are these factions, there are these
Hmm.
dukes who don't like each other. They are always hankering for power. Then there is the empire, and the emperor, who also are losing that power to these other sort of elements. So that's your macro elements. And then you have the micro element of Paul Atreides, who is, who's just trying to live his life, who's just trying to have a conversation with his father about how he doesn't feel ready to be like the scion of his, family. And then you have those very micro elements. You have those little moments where, he's with his father on a cliff side. It it doesn't add anything to your plot. Like I was saying, meandering. It doesn't add anything to the plot. But it does add a very important layer to who Paul Atreides is as a person, as a character, who he is. So I think these are all things that sort of make a story interesting. And there is obviously supposed to be ups and downs, and you do allow your story to sort of stay in its homeostasis also for a little time, so that it's not like your reader is always constantly bombarded with action, because sometimes the pauses are as important as your action. So that is about the story, the element bit of it. The second thing you asked was about voice and authenticity. And I hate to say this, but I think that comes with practice.
Yeah.
You cannot be a good writer unless you practice. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen this. There was this very good conversation that Javed Akhtar had with, I think, Sapan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he says this, that he's a veteran writer, and even he says this, that your creativity, your writing will rub your nose on the carpet, before it sort of reveals its secrets to you. So I think practice is what helps you with your voice. With me, what I generally try to do is I try to write the way I speak. So I speak a little concisely. I try not to go round and round too much. I I do have so that's in fact one of the things that my mom hates about my writing. She's like, you don't explain things. And I'm like, no, but it's understood. It's okay. You don't need an explanation for these things, So I write the way I talk. That's something I find easy to do. I don't try to, do something that another writer is doing already very well. Like, I don't think I could write like you, Manali. Your writing is very simple. It's very simple, and it's very down to the bones. It's not very it's not very flowery. It's not very it doesn't try to be pretentious. It's just what it is. And I don't think I can write like that. But then I don't need to write like that. I need to write like how I need to write, So that's there. And the last bit in this is that I think something that as writers we should all, it's a skill, I would say, which we should all nurture, is a curiosity of how humans work. What puzzle pieces make a character, who they are. And I think if you're able to figure that out, then you have your story, you have your characters. You don't have to worry about anything else. So, yeah.
I'm just going to read out a few responses that we have received in the conversation.
Sure.
Please reveal some secrets too. That's a request coming in from Sukana.
What secrets do you want, Sukana? You'll have to ask a specific question.
Yes, you have to ask. Then we can, maybe force Suchita to answer or convince her. Okay, Dhanki is saying that I love even the emails. Definitely, the newsletter is the highlight. I have sent you messages asking why the newsletter has not come in.
Yes.
So yes, that's we'll talk about those also probably.
Yes.
Okay. So my next question, let me just pull them up because I have a very short-term memory. So I have prepared myself. Just a minute. So
I have also prepared myself.
While I was actually reading the story, a follow-up question that came up, and it's like on the spur of that the question has popped up. What do you feel about using Indian terminologies? Because you have used the words aloo sabzi and all of that in your story. I have noticed that you do that in most of your stories. So what do you feel about that? Should we as Indians or whatever region we belong to, should we stick to those roots or provide a translation which takes away from the charm, I think?
Yeah. So I'm not sure where I read this, but there was some author who had mentioned this, that, authors in the West, when they use their lingo, they usually don't translate. Like, and even if you are a romance reader, mi amor is such a, I mean, it's been used in almost every romance novel that you read. Now, I mean, it's so ubiquitous, mi amor, that you know what
Yeah.
it means. And even if you don't know what it means, you know in the dialogue that it means, like you are just sort of calling your loved one some with a, with an honorific or a nice name. So I personally don't like to translate. So if it is aloo tikki, it is aloo tikki. I have said that he's peeling potatoes and he's putting peas in it. So you should, I guess you should be able to sort of figure that out
Yes.
by yourself, and I try not to translate them. I even don't italicize them, because I feel that that also breaks the flow of the dialogue. Like if in my dialogue I say, can you hand me the aloo? And if I italicize it, it will break the way I'm reading it. If I just read it as aloo, I probably will not even, pause to say, Are isne kya bola? Like, what did he say? I need to figure it out. And I think last year I read a book which had a lot of Spanish words in it. And luckily for me, I read on my Kindle or I read on my book, on my phone,
You can
where
find
your
out
Google Translate is very easy for me to know what they are saying. And mostly, like I said, it's like a mi amor, which you understand what is happening. You know what mi amor means. And I have noticed this with a lot of other writers also, that if they have written something in another language, they will give you either above or below. They will tell you what is happening.
glossary. Yes,
If it
yes.
is really important, they will tell you what is happening. So I think we don't need to shy away from our language. I think it's fine. In
Uh,
my opinion, it's
uh,
fine.
I feel as people who have been forced upon with the English language on us,
Yeah.
we have that
Yeah.
tendency to think also that people will not get what we are trying to say
Yeah.
unless we talk in pure English.
Yes.
So that also has to be usko thoda ignore karna padega. We have to
Yeah.
come out of that also.
And I mean, you're talking about us as Indian writers. I was just listening to Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. Even he has used so many Hindi words. Like I was amazed by the number of Hindi words he has used in his novel, and the context is there, so you know what he's talking about. If he's saying Amma, he will tell you like either there and then, Amma, mother, he will say it like that. So you know what is happening. And I think it's fine. You don't have to, it's almost like you're apologizing. You don't have to,
Exactly.
I don't think you have to do that.
Yeah, as Indians, we are like constantly apologizing for our use of our own language.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, we have Sangeeta is saying that especially the African writers also use a lot of local lingo without a glossary. Yes. So we should also
That's
need to
true.
embrace this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Coming to my main question, which I had prepared for you beforehand. So, I have noticed that you write mostly on your blog. You
Yeah.
don't have your fiction writing or even anything else in the form of books. So, I
Yeah.
want to understand from you, how does a writer go about choosing the right platform for their stories? Do they write it on the blog? Do they put it in a book? Do they reach out to other platforms for publishing them? Just advise us on how to choose the right platform.
So for me, what happens is that I this it depends a lot on what I'm writing and why I'm writing it. So, for example, if I know that whatever I'm writing is going to stay on a Word document, then it doesn't matter what is the length, whether it's one sentence or it's 1 lakh words, it's okay. I don't sort of curb myself. If I'm writing for a blog hop, for example, every conversation matters. If I'm writing for a blog hop, now in your blog hop, there is a very clear limit that between 500 and 1,000 words is what you have to write. So I know that there is a limit to how much I can write. So I give myself that limit. I love doing that. I love depending on how many words I have with me. I feel that it makes the writing better, because then I don't have a lot of scope to
Hmm.
meander. Then I
Hmm.
know that, okay, within my 1,000 words, I need to say everything that I want to say. Like the story that you just read out. I can expand it and expand it and expand it and turn it into a short story of 3,000 words very easily. It's very easy to do that. But then, and it will probably only add that masala to that story. But even within those 1,000 words, I can tell the story.
Hmm.
So I think my writing depends a lot on where the purpose of
Hmm.
that writing.
Hmm.
And to answer your what you are saying, that I don't have my writing in books. That's because you know you have a dream that
Hmm.
you will get traditionally published, and that has not happened. And then you get a little fatalistic about it, ki koi baat nahi, rehne do. Just let it be, leave it. I don't want to chase this dream anymore. So I think mostly it's because of that it has not seen the light of day in terms of books. I have written longer stuff also. It's just not seen the light of day. As for platform, I think you are a better person to talk about self-publishing, since I haven't really done that. And I know I have seen you work towards marketing your books. You are quite relentless, and it's amazing because not everybody has that kind of energy to do that, that kind of drive to do that. I certainly do not have it. And it's just like I'm mostly like, अरे डाल दिया ना, अब देख लो जिसे देखना है, like what more do I. But I have seen you, like I think it was for this book only, Heartstrings and Harmonies, where you revealed where you were asking people to guess and what are the colors signify, what does this signify. And it is so amazing. So I think that is something maybe you should answer. But I will say this, that every writer should have a blog. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. I wrote my first novel sometime in 2017, I think. And after that, I started my blog. In
Hmm.
these 7 years, my writing craft has grown so much. And that's only because of my blog. Because my blog forces me to be regular with my writing. It forces me, like I said, I put those limits on myself that I cannot write something which is beyond 1,000 words on my blog, because it's no fun reading something longer than 1,000 words on my blog. So that my craft has grown so much because of it, because of my blog. So I think all writers should have a blog, if for nothing else, to stay in the habit of writing. And also, I think getting that feedback, like what you just said, I know you're saying you're gushing, but for someone like me who is so shy,
Hmm.
even if somebody is giving me a compliment, I'll say, "ठीक है, okay, it's fine." It's so difficult
Yeah.
to say
Yeah.
thank you. It's so difficult to say thank you. And so, that kind of feedback that you get, that, okay, maybe this is worth doing. So
Hmm.
for all these reasons, I said, I think you should definitely have a blog.
Hmm.
But apart from that, other platforms like for self-publishing, I think, Manali, you should answer that question. And in terms of submissions and all, frankly, I haven't done a lot of submissions, because submissions have very certain guidelines, and I'm a very, very chaotic writer in that sense. I will write continuously for a month, and then I will not write for 6 months. So,
Okay.
very, very chaotic that way. So, I don't really have a lot of experience with submissions either. But
Hmm.
blog is something I can talk about. So I can say that you should have a blog.
Yeah.
It really helps.
Yeah, definitely. And also, it's something that, makes you consistent as a writer. And then you can go back to your own writing from 7 years ago and marvel, oh my God, I have improved so much. And what is this shit I used to write?
And
Yeah.
I just go like, oh, Suchita. I just go like, I'm just like, what is this? Sometimes it's positive also, because when I read, like,
Yeah.
there was this one post that I read, because I saw that somebody had clicked on it, like it came in my analytics that
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
had read that story. I was like, this is such an old story, like. So I just clicked on it just to see what had I written in it, and I read the whole thing. I was like, wow. क्या कहानी लिखी है मैंने. So sometimes it can go both ways.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's
yeah.
like, oh God, what is
Sometimes
this
validation also,
rubbish?
and yeah.
Huh. And sometimes you're like, did I really write this? Like, I wrote this. Wow. It's so surprising.
Yeah,
So yeah.
we have a question from Deha here. She's asking, what is the most challenging thing you have had to write?
Oh, um, I think I find fiction writing the most challenging, especially if it is if I'm writing like a novel. I think that's the most challenging for me because it requires consistent effort.
Hmm.
And somewhere I think I have lost that. I've lost the plot of that. There are too many plot holes in this in this activity. But I think that's something that I find the most challenging. I don't find challenging writing on my blog at all. Like
Hmm.
I love to say this to my friends because they always look at me like, how do you do that? So like I can write 500 words in half an hour.
Yeah.
So it does not take me, I have reached a stage where it does not take me too long to write a blog post, which is why I think it's also easy for me to do a blog
Hmm.
post. But fiction writing is something which I find very challenging, especially if I'm writing a novel. There is this one story that is, I get up with it and I sleep with it, but it has, it's going very slowly. So, yeah.
Okay. We have Sangeeta here because we were talking about the platforms to publish. She has suggested us LitMart pitch at Bangalore Literature Festival, send a synopsis and sample, and then hope for the best. Miracles do happen.
To be fair, I have done that. Some I think in 2018 or 2019, I had done that.
Hmm.
I got a semi positive response, but you know how it is. Your ego just goes like, oh, I'm not doing this now anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've also done that for a few of this pitch fest, and yeah, it just then I start wondering, मैं खुद भी तो कर सकती हूँ, and then I go back to the same way I have been doing all the past few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leha is saying, I have noticed this too, Sangeeta and Janki, in African literature. I have always had to Google and learn side by side. Some books have explained though. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
always, become a little old school now. Karo Google. पहले तो कैसे when we were younger we didn't even have Kindle and ebooks and all that, and we used to sit with a dictionary, right?
Yeah.
Pause लो, dictionary खोलो,
Yeah.
पढ़ो.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through your through blogs you can write many articles which can be put together as a book, जो मैं करती हूँ.
Yeah.
Yes. Janki.
Yeah.
uh,
So,
we also have one more question from Chinmay Neeraj. Hello Manali, I had reviewed your book Knight in Shining Armor last year. It's good catching up with you. Thanks due to Suchita for giving me an opportunity on Blog Chatter. Oh, thank you so much. Thank
how
you.
cool.
Yes. Thank you for reading my book, and I hope you enjoyed it. Tanvi is saying I have decided to get myself a dictionary in a physical form. Very good idea. Yes, Tanvi.
That's cool. I remember when I learned the first time how to actually read a dictionary, how to find the word. It
Hmm.
was like, it was as if, you have learned a skill,
Yeah.
how to search a dictionary without
Yes.
a Google search.
Yes.
Yeah. So quite cool.
Sangeeta has a piece of optimistic message for us again. I signed a deal with Penguin through Litmart. So congratulations
Awesome.
on that,
Yeah.
Sangeeta. And you have given us hope. You should try again, probably. Okay. So that brings me to the end of my questions. In childhood, I dreamed of learning whole dictionary someday.
Wow. That's a very, very noble dream. Imagine having access to words, because so many times it happens that you need a very specific word which will just encompass whatever it is you want to say, but then you can't find the words, you have to explain the word, and
Yeah.
then somewhere you'll find it. So in fact, Tanvi, I will say this. I remember this was something. It was an interview of Eminem that I was
Hmm.
listening to, and he said this, that he actually reads the dictionary because he says, if I need to write my lyrics, I need to know words. How do I
Hmm.
do my words? I read a dictionary. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So that brings me to the end of my questions that I had for you. The floor is yours. Uh, you have read my latest book, Heartstrings and Harmonies. Go.
So I will say this, though I have reviewed the book on my blog also. I think what I loved the most about the reading experience of Heartstrings and Harmonies was the music and how apt the music is to the story and how you have sort of interwoven the lyrics with your story. So that was something which I felt was very clever and also very creative on your part.
Thank you
And
so much.
also in fact, this book was kept on my bed, and my mom came and she opened the book and she read what you had written in the book, which is let music be the source of hope in your life. And she read that and she just had this, spontaneous sort of outburst of this is so true. And she had like she told me that it's so true because so many times you will just find a song when you need it and it just instantly sort of soothes you. So yeah, so it was great reading your book, and also in physical form, might I add. I don't read physical books, but I did read this, and I had to find like a light which will come directly on the book so I could read it because I have lost the habit of reading
I can relate to it.
paperbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so I'm
Before you
going to read
go ahead,
out.
I'm just
Yes.
going to one more time thank Block Chatter for making this book possible, because the first story that I wrote for this book is because of a blog hop prompt that had come into the mail, and it arrived on my birthday. So I was like, okay, this is God sent. I wrote the story from that prompt, which was write a story inspired by your favorite song. I wrote the story. I enjoyed writing it, and I was like, maybe this can be converted into something bigger. And eight
Yeah.
months later, the book was here, and out of the 29 stories, 15 stories are written through the blog hop prompts that I got through Blog Chatter. So thank you to you and the whole Blog Chatter team.
Thank you so much. That's so amazing because, that's how we had actually started the whole process of publishing books. The ebooks that we used to publish on blog charter channels that, you convert your blog posts into a story, and you have been doing that. And it's so great that you have found merit in that idea. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to read out so Manali's book is divided into sections. So I'm going to read out a story from the section Love is Life and Beyond. I think this was my most favorite section because it talks about life, of course. And the section on hope was also, I loved that section because of, that bittersweetness of that whole thing it really touches your heart, just to read that. And the story is titled My Shadow Will Follow You. So again, what Manali did, I'm not going to start from the beginning. I'm going to read an excerpt from the middle. After a candlelight dinner set up for the two inside the room itself, followed by cutting the customized cake, they decided to call it a night. Pratik was snoring within minutes, and Sneha lay cuddled inside her duvet with the book she had picked from the shelf earlier. That's another thing. Sorry, I'm interjecting. There is a lot of books. There are a lot of libraries in this book. So if that is something you enjoy, you should pick up this book. And are into it. She had to admit the elderly gentleman had been right. She was gonna be pulling an all-nighter because the book was what bibliophiles like her would call unputdownable. Karen could not believe it. How could he be alive? She had done the deed with her own hands, and it hadn't exactly been a walk in the park. She followed the man, picking up her pace before he went out of sight into the next alley. Sneha turned the page with heightened anticipation. Suddenly, she heard a faint sound and looked up. Maybe she had imagined it? She shrugged it off and went back to Karen's discovery. What is that discovery? You should read the book to find out. We should
Wonderful.
not give away everything, no,
No,
because
no.
this was like
Yeah.
such a nice, thrilling story. So I said, no, this you should read the book to find out what happens after this, because it's not what you think. When you will read this story specifically, you will think that it is going a certain way, but then it goes in a very different way. So I really liked it because of that reason.
Thank you. And yes, I had so much fun. In fact, the story that Sneha is reading also, I had fun writing that also about Karen and stuff. I was like, maybe I should convert this into something more.
I
Yeah,
get that because I have done this in my stories where there is a story within a story, and I'm like, maybe I should abandon this and just pick up this
yeah.
and
ये
start
इसमें
writing this.
ज्यादा मजा आ रहा है.
I know.
Yes.
Okay, so when I was reading this book, Heartstring and Harmonies, I noticed that you pay very careful attention to setting,
Hmm.
which is like where the space where your characters are. Like even in this book, you do describe that, that they've come to this Airbnb and, or actually it's just a B&B, I think. And, that what is happening around their surroundings, where they are, how they are placed, what is the weather like, etc. So that is something I wanted to ask you. Is that something you consciously do? And why do you think it's important to your story?
Yeah, I'm going to answer this in two parts. Firstly, let's talk about my own personality. I am somebody who believes in a lot of sensory experiences, like uh,
Hmm.
look, see, touch, and
Yeah.
I might not be a very physically comfortable person with the other person, like not hugging and kissing and everything, but I do feel a certain sense of comfort knowing that they are sitting close to me or they are sitting at a distance where I can understand their reactions and emotions. And the same goes for places. Wherever I go, I try to take in everything. Like, what is the vibe like?
Yeah.
Into this language, what is the vibe? So yeah, I observe everything about that, whether it's I'm sitting at a park or whether I'm sitting inside a restaurant or a cafe. I like to see what music they are playing. I like to observe what other people are interacting, how they are interacting. If I'm sitting at a park, I would notice what kind of trees are there, what kind of plants are there. Does it have a pond? Does the pond have fish? So everything that makes a lot of difference to me as a person. So because I think I
Right.
am like that as a person, it shows in my writing also. As you mentioned,
Right.
a part of our personality always comes into our stories.
Yeah.
So that's one. And somewhat related to that also is the other part of the answer, which is that unless I visualize it the completely in my head, I will not be able to give the characters the emotions that they feel in that particular scene or through the course of the story. I have
Yeah.
to imagine it clearly in my own head before I am able to put it into a story or on paper, that this is where they are sitting, this is what is happening around them, this is the kind of conversation that's flowing, and how all of those things combined affect the characters that are in that scene. So
Right.
that's how my stories develop, because unless I am able to visualize them, I think I will not be able to do justice to the characters myself as
Right.
well. So yeah, that's how it comes. It's not necessary for every writer to be like that. I feel that uh, there are writers and there are books that I have read that do not focus so much on the setting, or
Yeah.
do not focus so
Yeah.
much on the emotion. They are just talking about the thoughts there that are going on in the character's head at that moment. So it I think depends on what kind of a person you are and how comfortable you are with your writing and the way that you develop as a writer over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's actually a very good way of putting it. How you develop your craft, over the years. Yeah. So I just thought of this question. Since you're saying where they are sitting, do you also do this where you get up and sit and say, okay, this is what it is, this is the distance? Do you do stuff like that when you're writing?
I do
Okay.
that a lot, and yeah, the most people find it like people who don't know me that well, they are like, what is she doing? ये क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? But people who know me, they know कि ये इसके दिमाग में कुछ तो चल रहा है. So
I do that.
yeah, that
I generally, my guinea pig is my sister, so I'll tell her, okay, put your hand over here. Like so many times, I just want to figure out, is it the right hand or the left hand? So
yeah,
I'll tell her, okay, put your hand over here. Okay, this is your left hand. Okay. So I'll tell her, okay, you can go now.
yeah. I have to tell you something which annoyed my husband to no end. Firstly, he's not a reader, okay, and I have made a constant joke of this fact over the course of my 9 books now, that he has not read any of my books. When I was writing my first novel, Love Triangle, back in 2021, I was where I was setting the story, I was not very well versed with that area where I was placing the characters in. And I asked him a lot of questions because he has been born and brought up in that particular area of Bombay, Dadar and Matunga.
Right.
So I was asking him constantly कि इसका डिस्टेंस कितना है, यहाँ से चल के जा सकते हैं, यहाँ से बस मिलेगी, यहाँ पे पास में गार्डन है. He could not understand at all कि तू fiction लिख रही है, तुझे इतना डिटेलिंग में क्यों जाना है. So he was constantly baffled by that. So a non-reader would never understand कि हम इतना
Yeah.
क्यों कर रहे हैं. Non-reader, non-writer would never understand that even in fiction we have to look at some facts for our own
Yeah.
understanding and to make the story, believable, to add
Yeah.
that layer of authenticity.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. So, okay.
Yeah.
My next question for you, and this is something that I love asking all writers, so I'm going to ask you the same question. Where does the story begin for you? So I'll ask my question also in parts only, so that because they are a little unrelated. So where does the story start for you?
So for me, the story starts where the characters are always at a point in their life which is going to be pivotal for them.
Okay.
कि इस पॉइंट से उनका लाइफ स्टोरी चेंज हो रहा है. तो that's very important for me to start from the story from there, because मुझे लगता है कि that will also build the curiosity in the reader's mind कि इससे पहले
Yeah.
क्या हुआ कि वो यहाँ तक पहुंचा है and what is going to happen now.
Yeah. Very nice. That's so cool. Okay. And how do your plot bunnies find you? And what is the first thing you do when an idea strikes you?
So for the past 2-3 years, I think it's the plot bunnies have find their way through to my head because of writing prompts, and mostly because of blog chatter, blog hops. You guys have been really good with my creative mind. वो fuel है मेरे लिए. Every week
Right.
it pumps me कि how do I go about this prompt now. For instance, I think the one of the recent prompts was, I'm not remembering so one of the recent prompts was that you receive a letter from your future self, and that was okay. I have never done this before, let's do fantasy this time.
Lovely.
I was very sure that most people will think about themselves only.
Yeah.
They will write it in first sentence and they will feel that, this is the good point for personal growth. And let's
Yeah.
assume that, we are receiving it from our future selves and updating ourselves with it. I was like,
Right.
no, let's use this as a fantasy plot. Why not write a genre that I've never done before? So
Yeah.
that's how plot bunnies find you. You
Yeah.
have to keep your mind open. I feel कि आने दो. Let the universe come to you.
Yeah. That again, very good way of putting it. कि आने दो. कि खुला है. Traffic is open. There are no red lights over here.
Yeah. Recently, I have also started writing for their prompts. So Janki is saying, I think Janki was the one who won that particular prompt that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Where,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. That's cool.
yeah.
Awesome. And what is the first thing you do when an idea strikes you?
Okay, so firstly, जो भी सुन रहा है, जितना भी आपको लगता है ना कि आपका मेमोरी बहुत अच्छा है, please put that aside. Because whenever an idea comes to you, it will go out of your head in seconds. So please write it down. वो नहीं आएगा वापस. At least not in that particular form that it came to you. It might not make sense to you completely later on also, but put the words that are coming in your mind into, we are lucky to be born in a generation where we have so many digital devices around us. So
Yeah.
कुछ भी तुम्हारे हाथ में वो लिख लो. You might not have a pen and paper or a notepad around you, but you will always have your phone with you. So
Yeah.
take out your phone, write it down. And I have fallen into the habit. Thank God that WhatsApp now has the feature of messaging myself. So
Yeah.
So I message myself all the ideas that come into my head during the day at odd hours also. I put them down. भले ही दो
Okay.
तीन वर्ड्स आए हो, it might not make complete sense to me later on, but I know कि ये idea आया था मुझे, so I can go back to it later and work upon it.
Okay.
So that's how.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
No writers
Chalo.
have good memory.
I
Yes,
love that
Janki.
line. But Janki, that is so true. When I'm writing, I will make notes like कि अच्छा, I've written living room and not drawing room. I will make notes like
Yeah.
that. It is, that I've called it a chair and not a sofa. So please continue to calling it a chair. Don't suddenly turn it into
Oh,
a
right.
sofa.
Yeah, that's a
So,
good point actually. Yeah, I should also do that. I have never done that, but I have to start doing that. So, throughout the story, there has to be consistency also now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You can't just suddenly say कि अभी तक chair थी, अब sofa हो गया. Sorry. So
right.
yeah, those are the kind of notes that I make.
Yeah, you've given me another point that I should make in my notes when I'm writing stories. Yeah. Okay, let's see what people have said otherwise. Shalini is here. Hi, Shalini.
Hi, Shalini.
Sangeeta has said observation is a key to become a great writer. And yes, writers are crazy. Yes.
Always.
सब लोगों को लिखना पड़ता है यार. What you say about writing down immediately? Yes. So Marietta is also saying yes, we have to write down immediately. I too message myself even newspaper reports with dates to go back to. Okay, Janki is saying she's enjoying the conversation. Very happy to
Thank
hear
you
that.
so much. That is so sweet. Thank you. So
I
glad
forgot.
we could entertain you on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah. So
That's
Marietta
good.
is also saying I've forgotten sentences and words when I try to recall them. हमेशा होता है. Like that exact thought will never come to your head again. Yeah. Okay. So I think we are at the end of the long form questions we had for each other.
Yes.
And we come now to the most fun section, my favorite, which is the rapid fire round. So, Sujita, what we'll do is back and forth. I will ask one question and then you ask. My first
Okay,
question
cool.
to you is going to put you in a fix, and I love it. I
I
think
read
that
that question. I was like, oh no, I don't know what to say for this.
because that is the question, like, maybe not the nation wants to know, but block chatter ki puri community wants to know. When is your book coming out?
First, that is a that's a very sweet question to ask because, and you are not wrong. I have I have gotten so many messages on my blog from very different people saying ki when you release your book, tell us, we will read that. And it hasn't happened yet, and I'm very close to just putting a PDF and just putting it on my blog and saying download kar lo yaar, pad lo. I'm very close to doing that because, like I said, the traditional is not happening. I don't know. And I also know that that has to do with a lot of things that are in my control and a lot of things which are not in my control. Self-publishing, I have tried, but I have not really enjoyed it as much. I have done it on KDP. Like I told you, Manali, that one of my ebooks I've already pulled it down from KDP, and I'm very close to pulling down my second one also. So I'm very close, in fact, to saying, ki, okay, let me just put a PDF together. Let me just at least do some locks on it so that people can't just copy paste the whole thing. And then just put it on my blog and say, you want to read it, just download and read it. It's fine. So I can just hear my mom saying, कि तुम्हें तो सब free में करना होता है. Why can't you why can't you just charge? Because it was something that, you took effort to write it. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. Maybe I'll just put a PDF together and tell you, ye lo, pad lo.
I would love that. I would be one of the first people to download it. Definitely. Okay, we have a few more responses coming in. The obsession of sending messages to ourselves is real. Yes, Nilshree's. Then Janki is saying yes, yes, good entertainment, and I know I'm not alone. Thank you so much, Janki. So
Very
Nilshri is also
sweet.
agreeing to that. Good chat, guys. I make
Very
voice
sweet.
notes. Jainam is saying I make voice notes and then I had no energy later to transcribe.
So,
He's going.
my dad has discovered this. If you turn on your keyboard, if you switch on the speaker, if you speak, it'll type it for you. So maybe you could try that. My
The
dad has recently
that
discovered this.
is always there on Word ना Microsoft Word में तो है वो feature है ना
Is it? Acha. I've
Yeah.
never used it on Word, but I did see it like he was doing it on his phone because he's like, I don't want to type so much.
Ah,
So he was dictating. So maybe you could try that.
yeah, try that,
Okay.
Jen. And if you're writing on Word, it already has a feature where you can, speak and it will write for you.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. My question for you. What's your favorite romance novel of all time and why is it your favorite?
such an such a difficult question to answer because I have read so many romance. I mean, पूरे साल में शायद out of the 100 plus books that I read, 50 must be romance only. So I really don't know how to answer that. But I will say this: as a 90s kid, Nicholas Sparks was the top of that list, and I have read almost all his books. So that will always be my, comfort author.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Yeah. I think I first discovered him. So I don't know if you know this, but Reader's Digest used to do this. They used to release abridged versions of stories. And so that's where I discovered Nicholas Sparks actually. And then I sort of got his full version of the book and then I read that book.
Oh, lovely.
So
So Reader's Digest में ये feature भी था क्या? I mean, I used to read it also a lot. My favorite parts of Reader Digest were where they used to put little jokes
yeah.
in the section called
Yeah.
"All in a Day's Work," and
I love those. Oh, the comic strips that they used to put, I still remember one where they had put one where it is bottled water and unbottled water, and it's just, it was so, I still find it so funny. That whole, just the concept of bottled water and unbottled water. It was really, matlab, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, we have few more responses come in. Janki saying phone में भी है. Oh, phone also has this feature where speech to
Yeah,
text.
yeah,
Janan is saying it has so many typos that my thoughts aren't recognizable later. Janki is saying my 13-year-old son does it. I'm guessing she's saying about the phone feature.
yeah,
And Janan is saying I am sleepyhead when I do it. Yeah, that is also understandable.
yeah.
Since Janan is saying, I am remembering this particular meme where, a writer had a story idea during the night and they were very sleepy. And then they've written it down somewhere on the notepad. And in the morning they see and like, what the fuck? I don't understand the word. Yeah.
It's like an alien transcription
Yeah.
that is happening.
Yes. Okay. My next question to you is equally going to put you in a fix again because poetry or fiction, choose one as a reader and a writer and state your reasons.
No, this actually is a very easy answer for me because poetry is something I know I write poetry a little bit, but as a reader or as a writer, poetry is what happens for me spontaneously.
Hmm.
When it comes to fiction writing, it's not really spontaneous because it's like an iceberg when I write
Hmm.
fiction. So what you
Hmm.
see is only the top, everything else, it keeps going on in my head. But poetry happens very spontaneously for me. So um, that as a writer, it happens very spontaneously when I'm feeling something deep enough
Hmm.
and, I need to say it in a way that in less words, it conveys what I'm feeling is when I do poetry. Reading poetry, I have tried reading poetry books. I don't really understand poetry. I've understood this that I probably I'm not very good at understanding poetry. So for me, the answer is very simple: writing or reading fiction all the way. So this is actually an easy question to answer.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, because it was heartstrings and harmonies, I had to ask this question. Favorite song of all time and why?
I've been asked this because the book is such, and the irony is that that song has not found its way into the book. And I realized it later after writing all the 29 stories. I was like, oh my god, I didn't put my favorite song into it, which is Mitwa from Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna.
That's a good song.
Yeah,
That's a good song. Yeah.
yeah. That's in the past now. अभी क्या कर सकते हैं? हो गया book.
कोई बात नहीं. You can write a new series called Mitwa.
Yes.
The title of the story can be Mitwa, and then maybe you could write like a French to lovers romance. I don't know.
Now you put ahead. idea into my head. Let's see where it goes. Okay. My next question is, since I know you are very well prepared for this particular challenge every year, you are like the first one to get ready with everything by the end of February. So I'm asking this now only. What can we expect from you in A to Z 2025?
Okay. I actually have an answer for this question,
I was
shockingly
so
enough.
sure. I was so sure.
I do
Yes.
have an answer for this question. So I think I don't think it was last year, but I think last to last year I had just finished listening to Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, and Death is a character in that series. And I was fascinated by that character.
Hmm.
And so I started writing this story where there's this character, he's sort of an alienish sort of a character who does contracts
Hmm.
where you give him your life, and for 24 hours, he will let you live your deepest, darkest, lightest dream. And after
Hmm.
those 24 hours, you'll die. And this is like a proper contract that he does
Hmm.
with you. Okay, this character. So I'd written something about that. And I finished writing the whole thing because it has A, B, C, D as chapter titles also.
Hmm.
So I finished writing the whole thing, and then I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's going nowhere.
Hmm.
So I was like, it's not, it doesn't form a story. It doesn't have any, it doesn't have a like an ending or anything. It's just
Hmm.
like it's just going, you know. So I didn't do it, but now I want to edit it and turn it into like a,
26
turn
chapters.
it into like a, turn it into a novella of sorts for the A to
Oh,
Z. Let's see if
wonderful.
that.
Oh, yay. So we are getting one more novella like last year. I love it.
But very, very different genre, of course.
Yeah.
Last time it was a romance. This time it'll be, I think what I want to do is like friendship. So let's see. I do
Okay.
want to edit this, and because now I know where it is going, because now I
Hmm.
have an idea of where I want it to go. So
Hmm.
I think previously I did not have that idea, which is why I was like, it's not going anywhere. It's not, maza nahi aa raha mere ko. So
Hmm.
that's why I said, put it on freeze, so to speak. Now I'm like, I could do something with it. So let's see how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Going back to the point that we made in the beginning of the conversation, where we were talking about progressing through our blogs, you see what is happening because Suchita has been blogging for so many years. She now has the confidence to go back to a story she had given up on. Yay. So please keep blogging.
Always, always. This has got nothing to do with blog chat, na, that I'm saying please blog, because I have seen, like, I will tell you this. My friend, I told you guys that my first novel that I wrote, it was in 2017,
Hmm.
and the second one that I wrote was, I think, in 2023. And my friend read it, and she told me that, Suchita, your craft has changed. Like, you what words you were using in your first book and in your second, they are not the same anymore.
Hmm.
And all of that is because of the blog, because it has kept me in the habit of writing. And I think we forget that we need to practice. And
Hmm.
again, there is some famous author who has said this, that writing is a muscle and you need to use it
Yeah.
so that you don't forget how to use it. So yeah, it's all
Yeah, it's a
because
muscle memory.
of the blog.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
It's like driving.
Yeah.
This analogy came to me from another author. They were like, you can't ever forget how to drive. You may be out of practice, but once you do it again, it's a muscle memory. It will come back to you.
Yeah.
So same with writing.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
My next question. If you were not a writer, what would you be and why?
I have, I think, answered this before, but it's always a dream and probably a goal in the later life, which is to have a bookstore come library where people can come and probably a little cafe also. मतलब
Yeah.
books पढ़ो और books बेचो, books rent पे दो. That's the life, ideal life, no?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that is the dream, I think, for
Yeah.
so many of us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, Tanvi is agreeing to our point and she's laughing and saying this is growth because I said you had given up on the story, but now you're going back to it because of
Yeah,
blogging.
more than blogging, I think it's also such a, I think it was like one of my more unique ideas. So I also wanted to go back to it because of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it as always.
Thank
Uh,
you.
okay. So my next question. Okay, since we have already had a few fans talking about this, including myself, this is a question related to uh, something that has made you very popular in the block chatter community.
Yeah.
The newsletter that goes every week and arrives in our mailbox. I want to ask you, how long does the writing of that newsletter take? Be honest. Because it seems very spontaneous and कभी कभी मुझे लगता है कि ये इसने 10 मिनट पहले ही लिखा है और भेजा है शायद.
That actually that's not wrong. It is very spontaneous. And I have tried to tell myself this so many times that I'll write it on Monday and then schedule it on Monday or schedule it on Tuesday. And it invariably happens that Tuesday our day begins so so randomly, or suddenly there is something like major firefighting that we have to do, and it's 12:30 and I've not written my newsletter. Okay,
Okay.
so you are not wrong in that it is very spontaneous. I used to be able to think like maybe in the morning what will I write and then write it. But so many times, like I don't have a very interesting life. Okay, I have a very boring life. And the only thing that I write about, that I can like spontaneously talk about, is books and writing.
Hmm.
I don't even watch a lot of movies, so I don't have a very interesting life. So many times I have to sit and think, how do I begin this? Like, what do I start? Because beginnings are important, right? If I have your attention when I start the newsletter, then I know you will at least read the
Hmm.
end. Maybe you'll not click on links or anything, but at least you'll read the whole thing. And that's more important than, even clicking the links. So yeah, I sometimes it is literally 10 minutes before that I have finished it. And I have, like, one time I finished it at 1:23 and there were like 7 minutes. And I said, should I just send it? And I said, no, I'll schedule it. Let it go at 1:30 only. So yeah, sometimes it does happen where I've just about finished it and I've scheduled it like 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before. So yeah, that happens.
Wow. We'll always read till the end. Janand is
That's
saying, yeah, your
that's right.
newsletters are something that nobody can skip because they are just so interesting. मतलब either they will make you laugh or smile. कुछ तो emotion दे के जाएगा positive वो.
That is very sweet.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
uh,
Thank you, Jen, so much.
and Leha is asking the same question that you asked me. What would you be if you were not a writer?
Oh my. I hmm. I don't know. I guess maybe I do like collecting stories. So I do like listening to people
Mhm.
talk about what moves them. I'll probably become a therapist then.
Ah,
Maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
That's also something that people have told me that I'll be good at, that I'll be a good therapist. So it's like, okay, maybe that is something I would try doing.
Yeah, that's one more word we can add to your newsletter. It's very therapeutic.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay. Your turn.
Yes, a book you are currently reading. Again, a question that I love asking people.
So currently, actually, I'm reading the Block Chatter Book of Love.
Oh,
And
wow, how nice.
yes, so yeah, it's going well, and I think I am on the 15th or 16th story, so just about to finish. And yeah, it's always a good experience to read stories from people you have been following for a long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it it's very also encouraging to see people who have been writing on blogs, but this is the first time when they are getting their stories published in a book. So it's
Yeah.
very encouraging as a community member also कि हाँ
Yeah.
चलो somebody else is also taking that step and going ahead with
Yeah.
their right.
Yeah. 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 Oh, how nice. That book was was a pleasure to read and to put together and everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's very nice.
So, Janan is saying the only thing I look forward to on Tuesdays, because let's be honest, weekdays are boring, especially midweek days. And Leha is agreeing with your answer, Shreya, about being a therapist. She's saying that that would suit you. Yes. Okay, your turn.
Um,
No,
huh,
my turn. Wait, wait.
yes.
My last question. This is so. According to you, what's the bigger challenge? Writing or creating content, or getting the engagement? Give your reasons for your answer.
Always getting engagement because
And
think I think writing does come very naturally to you, and it is, and I do think because, of all the blog hops and everything, the engagement is easier because you have, and I try to do this that if there is a community blog hop that is happening, like, every conversation matters, and now Sakshi is doing a blog hop on International Day for Persons with Disability. So I have joined that blog hop also. So that I think that helps with the engagement, but always you're marketing your content, engaging with getting people to just even scroll through your what you have written. I think that is difficult
yeah.
because you are competing with attention spans, and you're competing with so many things, and it has been easier with blog chatter community because you do have a ready base of people who are ready to read what you're writing. But and in fact that also impacts the way you write because you do want to then write good, you want to write better because you have these bunch of people and you don't want to disappoint them. And I think so many times with my newsletters also this happens. I'm like, this is such a bad newsletter, nobody is going to read it, and it's so bad, it's so bad. And invariably on that newsletter I will get 2 3 replies, and I'm like, oh thank god.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, it's
So
always very encouraging, and of course, validation is required for us as content creators. How
yeah.
much ever we say that we are creating or writing for ourselves, that one person who is always there to read your work and tell you whether they enjoyed it or not, it works wonders, and that that's the only thing that motivates us to keep going and keep writing more and more on the blog.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So Janki is saying indeed engagement outside hops is very, very difficult. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. So yeah, we must continue being a part of blog hops, I feel. And more jitna blog hop ho sakta hai karo.
Yeah. That's also, and it's like it also helps. I was telling this to my friends also that in a where everybody is crying about attention, and that I'm so distracted, I can't do anything.
Hmm.
To be able to write and read in such a distraction-filled world, I think it's a privilege. You should take full advantage of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we talk about reading books, but I feel we forget about telling people to read beyond books also. And blogs are
Yeah.
such a big part of that.
Yeah. Like this is something that Richa always says that, blogging is not just about writing and
Hmm.
publishing. Blogging, when you say blogging is about writing, reading, sharing, commenting, all of that forms a part of blogging. So blogging
Hmm.
is not just about कि आपने लिख के छोड़ दिया.
Hmm.
But it's also, you do, that's how it works. Like I know that there are a lot of people who always they are not very happy doing the commenting bit, but I always say this that so many times I have gotten traffic on my blog because of a comment that I put.
Hmm.
So don't disregard your efforts. You do
Yeah.
your effort. You will see it somewhere.
Yeah.
You will see it some. So yeah.
Lovely.
Okay.
Yes.
My last question in the rapid fire, a book that you want to write, but it's at an idea stage, you have not started writing it.
Oh my God, Suchita, that's a very disturbing question actually for
Don't worry. I will tell you, I have at least 5 ideas in my head right now.
yeah. Thank you. That makes me feel better before answering. Because yeah, it's not just one because there are so many of them.
Yeah.
And some of them I have, क्योंकि शेड्यूल में नहीं बैठ रहा है. आई ऑल्सो हैव अ पब्लिशिंग प्लान इन माई हेड कि इस साल में इतना करना है और ये बुक्स आनी चाहिए. सो सम ऑफ द आइडियाज दैट कम टू मी आर नॉट कमिंग इन टू द शेड्यूल ऑल्सो ऑफ पब्लिशिंग. सो आई एम लाइक नहीं हो पाएगा ये शायद जाने. सो पोएट्री बुक्स के तो बहुत आइडियाज हैं, बट देयर इज दिस वन पर्टिकुलर idea that I have been toying with. I want to put out a graphic book where I am talking about everyday incidents, very quirky characters who are interacting with
Okay.
each other. It would talk about things that make us happy in everyday life, and they are just very silly things. Like
Right.
you would take out an old piece of clothing, and it still fits you, and you are like, wow, I'm still the same size.
Yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah,
are
yeah.
the kind of things that I want to put together.
Wow.
That बहुत silly सी चीज है, but they can make your day.
Yeah, not at all. What are you saying? Today I was just like, I've been looking at myself and like, my hair is behaving today and I'm happy because of that. So not at all silly, man.
Oh
It's
my
so
God, good
important.
hair day is very underrated.
Very underrated.
Okay, Gaurav is saying both beautiful intellectual ladies in one frame.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Gaurav.
Thank you
That's
so much.
very sweet.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just going over to the comments now. If we have missed anything, answering any question, that amazing idea, Manali, go for it. हाँ नीलसी बस यही है ना, वो motivation नहीं आ रहा है, and I also need to find a very good graphic artist for the idea.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
especially, what your idea, especially for adults, I think it's very important because we are the ones who are the most stressed and we have very few outlets, and if there is a book which will sort of remind me that, it's okay to have these little, lights in your everyday, I think it's an amazing idea. You should
Maybe
totally
I'll do that
do it.
for my A to Z for 2025, and then it will encourage me, motivate me to convert it into a book. Let's see.
Why not, man? Why not?
Yes. Okay, so now that I have had this, this is the validation that helps us put our ideas into, motion. वरना
Yeah.
हम तो give up कर देंगे. So thank you everyone for that. Thank you to you and Nilsri. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of today's conversation. We have answered every comment and responded to everything that the people have said. Thank you everyone for joining us. We were getting a lot of
Thank
hearts by
you.
the way, and we are still getting a lot of hearts. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
And I have to thank you, Suchita, that मेरी 3 साल की तपस्या पूरी हुई.
यार थोड़ी और चीजों के लिए एस्पायर करो ना, ये तो ऑलवेज अवेलेबल है.
See, I have already pushed you for the book. Please do something about your book. So PDF तो आ रही है, मुझे पता है, but I would love to see it on Kindle and in paperback format. Traditional publishing होगा. Don't give up.
नहीं गिव अप की बात नहीं है. आई थिंक sometimes you also have to stop the chase for it to maybe come back to you when it makes more sense. So I think I'm at that stage right now where I was chasing it quite religiously for a few years, and then I realized ki maybe it's not the right time for me because, like I said, publishing is something that is, it's not really in your hands. There are some bits of it which are in your hands, which is that you write, and then there are some bits of it which are not in your hands. So that is something that I know in the grand scheme of things, there are a lot of slips and ups and downs and stuff like this. But the PDF thing, I have been toying with that idea for a very long time. So I'll just put it. I'll be like, just it's a story which has been sitting in my folder for so long, and I love that story because it's such a cute story. And my sister gave me that idea. She narrated the whole story to me, and she said, "Okay, now you write it." And I wrote it, and I think I forgot. What she wanted me to do with one character, I did it to the other character. And she got so angry with me. She was like, "You have messed up my entire story." I said, "Arey, but I'm the writer. No, I will do what I have to do with it." So it's a very sweet story. It's a YA kind of a story. So maybe I'll just put a PDF and I'll say कि आप पढ़ लीजिए इसे. It's okay. Just
Nilsri is saying that chasing takes too long, Suchita. Been there, especially traditional. Yeah, we have all been there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us writers, we I think we all of us reach that stage at some point where we are like, you know what? We're not going to give up on writing, obviously,
Hmm.
because I don't think I could do that. But we do give up on that, or we stop chasing that dream because we realize that there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And there is no point in, fighting over
Hmm.
something that, it just takes more energy and gives you
Uh,
nothing.
yeah.
So I would rather put that energy in something. I would rather put that energy in writing,
Hmm.
in writing, maintaining my blog and stuff like that. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, PDF it
Maybe.
is.
Yes. But don't give up. Yes, I also want to say what Nilsri is saying. Don't give up.
नहीं नहीं आई थिंक मैं तो काफी उस स्टेज तक पहुंच गई हूँ where I'm like छोड़ छोड़
Very good. Yeah, that's another inspiration to take from you then. Okay. हाँ तो actually I always end my episode on this note because I want the guest that I have really enjoyed my conversation with. वो तो मुझे पता ही था ये होने ही वाला है blast. But I always want the guest to come again. But if you are not putting out a book, Suchita, how do I invite you? तो वो करो please.
now I'll have to do something.
Because I want to keep inviting you again and again and again. But this is so much fun, and we learn from each other. We tell people from our experiences. That's always there. So
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
put a book
That's
out.
true.
Well, we can
PDF,
always off PDF
PDF,
भी
PDF.
कर सकते हैं. हाँ.
हाँ, PDF. करो download. It's fine.
Yes. So once you have the PDF out, and I think it is a good time to tell everyone that my next book is coming out
Oh
also in by the
wow.
end of this year. So तुम PDF डालो, मेरा वो book आ रहा है. We can do this again.
अरे amazing. लो हो गया. Already decide हो गया. We are doing another.
Yes. Probably beginning of the next year, and start with a bang.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you once
फिर
again,
फिर
Suchita.
फिर मनाली. But how will you do 100 more sessions if you keep inviting me only?
हो जाएंगे वो तो कोई बात नहीं. Getting a paisa vasool book published is one of the most difficult things in life. Not a very happy Yeah, Marietta, we have all been there. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we should all start a support group for
Yeah, for
writers,
people who have
for
not
writers who
been
have
accepted.
for
Fred published नहीं हुए
been
वो.
there, done that.
Yeah.
And they're like, thank you, but we don't want to do this anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, I think we should end on this positive note. Double launch, double dhamaka. Yes, that's the positive note we are ending at. Suchita is putting out a PDF of her story, and I will bring out my book by the end of this year. So stay tuned.
But can you tell us if it's a poetry book or a short fiction, like short stories, or is it like a novel?
There's a proper plan for that, promotional
Okay.
plan.
I will not spoil your plan then. Okay. Looking forward.
Yes. So thank you, Suchita, and I hope to do this again soon. Fingers crossed. And I'm sending it out to the universe to give you a sign to not give up on your novel, and you get a traditional publishing deal.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Let's do this again. Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Bye.
Bye.